Number 14, Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy showed once again why he's overrated during this postseason. And why is he overrated, Life? Well, when he beat Tom Brady, because football's not a team sport, the Ed Reeds of the world, the Ray Lewis's, Troy Polamalu's, John Randall's, J.J. Watts, Barry Sanders, the guys that played running back, wide receiver, O-line, D-line, safety, free safety, they never existed. They never played. It was always the quarterback. Ben Roethlisberger versus Aaron Rodgers, or Brady versus Manning, and Purdy versus Mahomes, right? Anyway, after he beat Brady, the media propped him up as the next best thing. He's the next guy. Joe Montana and Steve Young. Well, he's neither the guy, nor is he Joe Montana or Steve Young. Brock Purdy is a guy who can attack the middle of the field. When he's throwing in the middle of the field, between the numbers, he's in rhythm. He looks comfortable. The ball is on time. When the wide receivers get it, they're at the end of their route. But when he has to fit a ball to where his receiver can get it, when his wide receiver is in tight coverage, he can't do that. And the wide receivers have to be wide open for him to be successful. If they're not wide open, he looks lost, he panics, and he benefits from an offense that involves players such as Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, guys who can create yards after the catch. And it never feels like Brock Purdy is the guy. It feels like Christian McCaffrey is the guy. During the last Super Bowl, I felt that Christian McCaffrey should have got more touches. I felt that Brock Purdy should not have been throwing the ball as much. And if he's the guy, I should not be feeling that way. I should have more confidence in Purdy being able to throw the ball. So Christian McCaffrey is the guy for the 49ers, not Brock Purdy. And look, he's still young. Not saying he won't be a great quarterback someday, but right now it's still early. Let's give him time to grow and to develop. He may come out next season and just absolutely kill it, but until then, he's overrated. So number 14 is Brock Purdy. Number 13, Joe Flacco. It was nice seeing Joe come off the couch and help Cleveland get back to the playoffs, looking like they were going to have a legitimate run at making it to the Super Bowl. And I thought he played well in that wild card game. He was throwing the ball in between defenders, throwing it high so his receivers can catch the football. He made a couple of big completions. His ball placement was pretty good, but he had those 2 pick sixes that pretty much iced the game for Cleveland, and they were not able to recover. Unfortunately for Joe, he wasn't able to get back to another Super Bowl and to be able to get a second ring, and so his little Cinderella story came to a crashing end against Houston. Number 12, Tai Tua, or Tai Tagovailoa. I can never say his name right. I made a video early, or I would say early, well, in the middle of the season about the Dolphins, and I said that they are not Super Bowl contenders, and I pissed off some sensitive ball gargling fanboys or girls or transgenders, whatever these people are, saying that my video was the worst video ever and worst take ever, which is funny because people say that it's the worst video ever, it's the worst take ever, but they don't say why. So if I'm wrong and you know more than me, then tell me why it's the worst video ever. Because otherwise, you're just going to come off as a sensitive ball gargling fanboy who loves to gargle your favorite player's balls in your mouth, okay? But in that video, I talked about Tai Tagovailoa, and I said that he doesn't do a good job of going through his reads. He keeps his head on one side of the field for the most part. He forces passes. Sometimes he doesn't really know when to give up on a play. In big-time games, he doesn't really show up. He turns the ball over as well, just like he did in that wild card game. Now, in fairness to Tai, I thought Miami should have been more aggressive. They tried to run the ball a bit more. They played too conservative for my liking. And that was probably because of the weather, but you got to stick to what got you to the playoffs. And they were not aggressive enough. And when they decided to be aggressive, it was too little too late. So Tai Tagovailoa is number 12. Number 11, Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph, he's a backup. He's a guy that's going to help the Steelers win some games in the regular season. He's a quarterback that can help keep the ship afloat until the starter comes back. But he's not really someone that you can rely on to lead you to a Super Bowl, in my opinion. He struggled in the first half, got it going in the second, but he's not really a franchise quarterback. So now the Steelers have Russell, and we'll see what happens there going into next season. Number 10, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott. Didn't really show up once again, just like the rest of his team. Doing what the Cowboys do, leaving fans with blue balls, teasing them, looking like they're going to win a Super Bowl, go all the way, and then when you need them to show up, they don't. And Dak, he threw for 403 yards, had 3 touchdowns, 2 INTs. That second pick was a pick 6, but a lot of that came sort of in garbage time when Green Bay foolishly decided to let up and take their foot off the gas pedal. I'm over Dak. I don't really think he is the guy. I said that last season, not this past season, but the season before last. I think the Cowboys should try to find another quarterback, but who are you going to find, right? Dak Prescott is number 10. Number 9, Jaylen Herz. Jaylen Herz, not having A.J. Brown, definitely hurt, no pun intended. He regressed just like the rest of the Philadelphia team. And, Hertz I give him credit for trying to throw from the pocket, which is what a lot of quarterbacks need to do nowadays. But he'll still turn the ball over. He'll still make some inaccurate passes. He's not really polished, in my opinion. That's how I really look at Jaylen. He'll kill you with his feet. He's very good at buying time in the pocket and breaking your heart by getting the ball to one of his wide receivers. But Jaylen needs to be a bit more decisive with the football. Number 8, Lamar Jackson, the 2-time, should be 1-time MVP. The second MVP should have went to Christian McCaffrey. Lamar Jackson, throughout the whole season, was getting praised and getting talked about as this unstoppable force of nature, and I'm watching him play and I'm seeing him throw balls into the flat, wide receiver screens, hitting guys who are wide open. Lamar was Lamar. Okay, he's still Lamar. Lamar is the guy that's going to make plays with his feet. When the pocket breaks down, he's going to run around, buy time, run for a first down and more, or hit a guy wide open and break your heart. The only thing I would really give him credit for is that he threw the ball more. He was trying to sit in the pocket a lot more, go through his reads. But if you force him to throw like Kansas City did, if you force him to play quarterback, he struggles. And I think people coming away from the AFC Championship game were saying that he should have ran more. Baltimore should have ran more, which they should have. And that plays into my point. Baltimore is at their best, just like Lamar is, when they are running the football. He's not a guy that can drop back and dice up coverage. He's not a guy that can just sling it all over the field. You have to run gimmicky run plays like RPOs, run concept plays for him, play action, get him out of the pocket. Anything that'll get him to utilize his legs. That is when he is at his best. And until he can do that, until he can show that he can throw the ball from the pocket, which at this point it looks like never. How long has Lamar been in the league now? Like 6-7 seasons? It's going to be hard for him to win a championship. Oh, you're just hating on Lamar. No, I'm not. Go fuck yourself. That was unnecessary. Number 7, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield surprisingly had a good season. I didn't think he would have as good of a season that he did this past season. During the playoffs, in that wild card game, he had 3 touchdowns. Now give credit to the wide receivers for abusing that secondary once they created yards after the catch. And then he got it going in the second half, late in the fourth quarter, I thought, against Detroit. But unfortunately, when the game was on the line and when Tampa needed him to drive them down the field, he threw a pick. So he Baker Mayfield it up. Baker has a new contract with Tampa, which makes sense because there's not a whole lot of options at quarterback. It's hard to find quarterbacks now. I mean, it's always been hard to find quarterbacks. Tampa signed him, locked him up, so Baker Mayfield is number 7. Number 6, Jordan Love. Jordan Love was phenomenal for the most part. Unfortunately, he had 2 bad interceptions in that divisional playoff game. He looked like Aaron Rodgers-esque. I'm not saying he is Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying he's the next guy to come after Aaron Rodgers. Okay, he's still young, but he had some pretty impressive throws, throwing off his back foot, falling away a little bit. He made some throws where guys were in his face, and he just looked comfortable and was in a rhythm. So if Green Bay has another franchise quarterback in Jordan Love, so there's Brett, there's Rodgers, and then now Love. I mean, talk about luck, I think, because quarterbacks are hard to find. I mean, look how long it took Kansas City to find Mahomes. Love is number 6. Number 5, CJ Stroud, a guy who I am a fan of. I immediately became a fan of after watching his rookie season. He gives me throwback vibes. He throws from the pocket. He's not running around. He doesn't look lost when his first read isn't wide open. And I would say that if Houston's offensive line holds up against Baltimore, Baltimore probably loses that game. There's a chance that they probably lose. I hope that CJ Stroud will continue to grow, come away with a couple of Super Bowls, and young quarterbacks in the future will try to be like him rather than these freaks of nature like Lamar, who else? Kyler Murray, these athletic quarterbacks that know how to run first, pass second, okay? They have to be able to run to be successful. So Stroud is number 5. Number 4, getting closer to the end of this list. Number 4, Josh Allen. Josh Allen, once again, I thought had another good postseason. Unfortunately, the knock against him is he lost to Mahomes. He can't beat Mahomes. I've given Josh Allen criticism because of how inconsistent he can be and how reckless he can play. But I thought during this postseason, he was good. He was good. Made plays with his arm. He made plays with his feet. But now that Diggs is gone and Gabe Davis is gone, it's going to be even tougher for him, in my opinion, for him to make the playoffs or for him to get to a Super Bowl now. Number 3, Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford, even though he only played in one game, I thought he looked phenomenal. Going back to his old team in Detroit, Matthew Stafford, he's one of the few quarterbacks that plays the quarterback position like a quarterback. And I think once he is gone, he's going to be missed. But hopefully, like I said, CJ Stroud and Love will continue to progress as QBs. Number 2, Jared Goff. Jared Goff probably should have made it to his second Super Bowl appearance this past season, but thanks to his dumbass coach who wanted to coach like it was Madden, and it wasn't all on him. The players didn't make plays when they needed to. But I thought Goff was sharp. He was constantly in a rhythm, getting the ball out of his hands quickly, spreading the ball all over the field, not really giving the DBs time to react, to try and defend his passes, not giving the pass rush time to get to him and get in his face. So Goff is number 2. And number 1, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, already a 3-time Super Bowl champion. Unfortunately for the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Ravens, him and along with the rest of that offense got it going. The GOAT. He's not the GOAT to me. When did he become the GOAT? When he got a second ring? How are you the GOAT when you throw for 182 yards, 3 touchdowns? The last 2 touchdowns that you threw were in the red zone. The opposing quarterback for the other team that lost outplayed you. I thought Jaylen Herz looked better than Mahomes did. And then he had the second half meltdown in the AFC Championship game against Cincinnati. And in this past Super Bowl, it wasn't like, whoa, shit. Patrick Mahomes is just lighting it up. Like, to me, the GOAT, if you're the GOAT, it's real simple. You have to be better than the guys that came before you. You have to be better than the guys that are going to come after you. He's a good quarterback. I'm not trying to say that he's a bad quarterback, but to be the greatest of all time, your resume and your skill set has to be on another level that not many people can touch. In the wildcard game against Miami, they blitzed him a lot. He was getting the ball out of his hands quickly. He's good at finding guys when the opposing team tries to pressure him. He's good at making plays with his feet, 3rd and longs, keeping his offense on the field. And in this past Super Bowl, I didn't think it wasn't like, whoa, shit, right? He's throwing it between 2 defenders and he's rolling out to the left side with the defensive end on his back, Joey Bosa on his back, and he's still able to throw a accurate pass on a comeback route to Valdez-Scantling. No, he made the plays when he needed to make the plays, or when his team needed him to make plays, So, but again, I'm not trying to hate on Mahomes. I'm not trying to say he's a bad quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback. Right now, he's the best quarterback when you talk about, championships and rings and all that, legacy-wise. But I just think that, and he played on a sprained ankle in the Super Bowl against Philly. Not a torn ACL or cracked collarbone, played on a sprained ankle. Oh, shit. Mahomes is the GOAT because he played on a sprained ankle. It wasn't broken. It was sprained. That's my list. I figured usually around this time, I make a top 10 quarterback list or top 10 worst quarterback list of guys who played throughout the season, but I figured I'd just do the postseason because quarterback play this past season all around was not very good. And I had an epiphany that a lot of these quarterbacks aren't really as good as a lot of people think they are. When you compare to how the guys from back in the day played, it's just like a lot of these guys look lost. If their first read isn't open, They're too quick to run the ball. They panic as soon as the pocket breaks down. That's my list. Please like and subscribe. That is it. I am out.